drop it down to like 30 dogs, 3 piles of shit a day. And these are big dogs,
Big
for the
boys.
last like month and a half. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot of piles of dog shit. But it's been rewarding, helping my friend's family and helping him in that way and helping to keep his breed alive. So yeah, it's been cool to be able to help and have the time to do so. So yeah.
Yeah. And now you're Periscope up, and then we've got this craziness happening here. Very interesting.
Exactly. So I just got some people to help me, take on a couple of days a week of the shelter. And so, of course, as soon as I jump right back into crypto, there's a big announcement yesterday that today is going to be a big announcement. And I saw it, and I got to be honest. At first, I was underwhelmed, especially when I saw the sacrifice in
Yeah.
there. I was like, oh, and then of course all the crying went on in Twitter. So I was like, well, before I let any of this affect me, I better go in and do my research and find out what's really going on here.
Yeah.
And so I've been feverishly gobbling up as much information as possible. And I've got to say, I'm pretty excited and pretty pleased with what's going on here. I'm really stoked, and there's more room for other things to happen to make this even better. But let's talk about what just happened, I guess.
Yeah. One of the things that I tweeted out, and let me see if I've got it here. So I was trying to compress this all into something that was understandable for pretty much everybody out there, and that's always the difficult part with cryptocurrency is that if you're just getting in, man, people don't know what ZK proofs are, and
Yeah,
people don't know what the process of on ramping or off ramping or smart contracts or escrow if escrow is involved, that sort of stuff. So
yeah, bridging.
um, yeah, so my
See,
snap
not to
react. Go ahead.
interrupt you, but I'm
Yeah,
having a
yeah,
little issue with it too. Can you turn your volume up a little bit?
yeah. Let's do that. You got me?
There you go. That's a little better. I
Is that
think
better?
people in this chat was saying that. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
there you go. That's good.
There we go. All right. So, so I was trying to understand exactly what this was going to be all about, and I tweeted this out. I said, here's my idea, one of many possibilities. So maybe a buyer sends USD via bank, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, whatever. The buyer's browser extension um, watches that account and generates a zero knowledge proof. And that zero knowledge proof says a payment of X dollars was sent to this account at this time, but it doesn't reveal the bank info. That proof is submitted to the blockchain or the smart contract. The contract checks the proof's validity and releases maybe that crypto from escrow. So the crypto is held on chain. The proof of fiat payment is off chain, but verifiable with the proof and that browser extension. So that was kind of my initial idea, but Richard kind of kept tweeting a little bit more, and it started not to make as much sense to me. It felt like there was a couple pieces of the puzzle that were missing. And I'm wondering if when this launches, those pieces of the puzzle will be put together. And most importantly is the fiat on ramp part, because you've got U.S. dollars. How are you going to convert that into something that could be usable for cryptocurrency in a trustless way? You always worry about the government coming in and shutting it down in the future. Censorship resistance is important too. So the two things that I'm thinking might be a possibility here is he rolls out maybe a wallet with this, and then potentially rolls out some sort of different way to on ramp to convert your U.S. dollars directly into crypto. stable coins, whatever the case may be, that would just make the process easier there.
like Circle with Coinbase. Like Coinbase launched and then ran USDC through it, and you ended up with a wallet with stable that can move freely between your bank and your exchange or your wallet.
Yeah, you're going to want some sort of landing point for that value, and you're going to want that landing point to be compatible with different chains as well.
Yeah.
So the big question mark in my head, and this is pretty cool because obviously we're going to be getting more information. Folks, we don't know anything beyond what you guys know. But it's cool to speculate as to how all this will work. I've got an idea in my head of how it might work. And I think it involves some pieces of the puzzle that we're not privy to quite yet.
Yeah, there's obviously some holes that need to be filled, but when you look at this platform and how it works, it's like, to dumb it down a little more than even what you did. Your transaction layer with either your Venmo, your Zelle, your bank, whatever, happens on the side. The
Yeah.
blockchain verifies it and moves. It shows so the buyer creates that transaction, makes that transaction through the system, like you said, on the browser app, and then boom, that transaction is verified by that app. That seller is notified that that transaction has been taken care of, and then the transaction goes from buyer to, or from buyer to seller, and the swap happens. The crypto moves over, the fiat moves over to the other side, and boom, boom, it's done. And that's
Yeah.
apparently what it does, and keeps it private so that not everybody's looking at your underwear drawer as it's happening.
Yeah, that's huge. And one of the arguments that people say is, "Oh, if you want to be private, then you're obviously doing something illegal." And I just want to smack people when I hear that. It's like privacy is a right. I shouldn't have to beg for privacy. The status quo shouldn't be. I got to pull my pants down every single time I touch a dollar. Now, there's ways to be compliant in that process, also with this privacy-based technology with ZK, because there is a record of that transaction, but you don't have to release all the information, your bank account information, etc. So tax implications, things like that, you do have a way to prove that you sent value without having to give everything up, which I was thinking about too, man. I'm like, if this wasn't released by Richard Hart and it was funded by maybe some VC out there, this could quickly turn into a multi-billion-dollar company if it gets adoption and rolled out the right way. And that's because you've got privacy involved, but currently the entire world is rolling out cryptocurrency technology, right? And we want to decrease. We don't want to increase. We want to decrease friction across all the blockchains. So the implications of this, it'll be rolled out on Pulse Chain and maybe other places too. We don't know. But it's going to give everybody in the world, not just Pulse Chain people, a way to tap into this network and move value all over the place in a trustless, private way. And I think that's very important. And there's so many businesses that could be built off of this as well. I don't think people really quite understand the implications. When something first gets released, everybody's just kind of scrambling to make sense of it. But there's tons of businesses that can be built off of this as well. There's, marketplaces, and I even put on my Twitter gig economy folks, like DoorDash sort of stuff. You verify that it was received. The two people verify it's on chain, things like that. I know that's a stretch here, but there's a lot of different things. Lending, P2P lending, and just there's just a cornucopia of different things that can be launched with this. So I'm excited to see these smart people come out and do that.
Yeah, that's going to be, and we've got them here in Pulse Chain. So the smart people are definitely they're geeking out right now. They're reading and studying and learning and putting their minds to it. And I know that's what we're going to see in this community is people putting things together, building things on top of it, and all that kind of stuff. Now back to real quick to the compliance portion you were talking about earlier here. You said, I mean, compliance has been basically we have a roadmap now, and anybody who can comply with the rules of the road and create a stable coin that does so, can be within compliance of, KYC, AML, and money, with money laundering stuff and whatnot. And now the transaction can be private, but it can be regulated also in a way that, puts everyone in compliance when you have a stable coin added to this that fits that bill, of the what's the new rule? I've already forgotten. The Genius Act.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that puts it in compliance. It adds that layer of privacy that we've always wanted, and is the ultimate middleman cutter. It cuts the middleman out completely. I mean, CZ and Brian Armstrong are, when they see this, or if they've seen this, or they probably know it exists, they're going to be freaking out.
They're going to be freaking out, but here's the thing: the benefit to the rest of the world is that, if RH puts this out, and it's going to require people in the space to compete with that technology and maybe create their own. So what you're going to see is kind of it's like a race to satisfy the customer, and ultimately a race to satisfy the customer benefits the customer. So competition is good in this way. Now it'll be interesting to see, how people respond to this. If they probably won't respond at all, or they'll probably FUD it. But you can only FUD something so long that works so well. And, we certainly expect it to work well. And that's exciting, man. It's exciting because we're pushing things forward, and they're going to hate us until people capitulate. That's just the name of the game.
Well, that's what they've always done. I mean, Hex is just now, the FUD has stopped from Hex itself. It's obvious, that it works. It's been working. It's going to continue to work. It's better than Bitcoin. It is the crypto of all cryptos. And so he gamed that. Then he created his own EVM, which gave people the option to go out and do all of their creating, and and put a DEX in the middle of it, and gave them that option also. And now this, it's like everything is in place. I think minus a stable coin, a dynamic stable coin, because there are some really dynamic stable coins out there that, go cross chain, that you don't have to bridge. So this could, something like this and a stable coin that does so could, cut out the most, I guess the worst layer in crypto, or the most difficult thing to solve is the bridging, because of the difficulty, because of the hesitation of people using it, and the actual learning curve of using a bridge. A good cross-chain stablecoin with a product like this could really, game the system and put real crypto, totally on the map.
Yeah, and that's that puzzle piece, man. Like when I first was scanning over this, I'm like, this is cool. This is neat. This works really well for crypto people that might already have crypto in their wallet. But how do we address the folks that don't? How do we address the folks that are going to be on-ramping their crypto and do it in a core principles sort of way? So I think that's the missing piece. It's like, yeah, we need a stable of some sort, and it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, go ahead.
It's outbound messaging that we need to get out there. It's, I mean, I don't know, what more we have to or can do to do so. I mean, we just got to keep moving along, keep going, keep being the face of, real decentralized finance, in order to get it out there, I suppose. But they're louder at this point. The centralized
Yeah.
exchanges are louder, and they're the ones that have the power. And they're the ones that are really wreaking havoc on crypto right now.
They
I'll-
are, and they're kind of disguising themselves as the saviors because they fought the U.S. government.
yeah,
Meanwhile, Coinbase, for example, it's primarily collateralized with Treasury bills, and then this whole stablecoin revolution. You think about it, and it's like they're the number one purchasers of U.S. government debt at this point. So why wouldn't the U.S. government love this, right? They can issue tons and tons of stable coins, and you can buy up government debt in the process, and the bureaucrats love that. So, this will be interesting. This will be interesting to see how it works. I think one of our biggest trump cards. I don't know how this is going to be used. It's we beat a dead horse with this, but it really is the SAC funds, especially over time, and it's because that's so much leverage to do really whatever you want. Maybe those SAC funds one day are, billions and billions of dollars. Well, at that point, if you've got SAC funds that are billions and billions of dollars, you've got a lot of options, right? You got options for stable coins. You've got options for
Treasury.
evergreen yield. So there's so many things that can happen with this. And if anybody, listened to RH before, he talks about this in specificity. He says, you launch with MVP, and then you scale out from there. You don't have to do it all at once, right? He talks a whole lot about, horizontal scaling too, which ties into decentralization quite a bit. So I think that we're seeing everything that he had talked about before, we're seeing play out right in front of us. It's just that, humans are super impatient. But if you go back and look at the track record over the past 4 years, yeah, price hasn't pumped per se, which is par for the course across cryptocurrency. But we are rolling out substantial upgrades over time. I can think about 6 or 7 of these so far. Now we're going to have this. That's really big, man. That's really, really big. Building in a bear market. So when the bull market arrives, you're established, and you can handle the traffic and the volume and the demand of people to have your asset. So it's kind of my thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, he's, like you said, he's always, hinted at all the things that need to be here. Privacy, he's always said, was a big deal. And I'm glad he didn't, basically telegraph this thing. He let it just roll. He built it, he brought it up, and now he's rolling it out. So I don't know when it's going to hit. Did he make mention on that yet?
Don't know. Website up tomorrow, maybe? Is that what I read?
Oh, cool.
More information.
So 2 weeks, he said.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he learned, there's probably many valuable lessons that he learned through this entire process, because he's been grilled. So, I like that. I like building something and not hyping it up, and just one day just dropping the mic, say, hey, here it is, because
see what the other does.
See what?
We've seen what the other does.
Yeah. But there's a time and place for everything, and maybe the situation back then called for that sort of thing. Whereas now things might have slowed down a little bit, and we just need to focus on quality. We need to focus on infrastructure, and this is a huge infrastructure piece that I really believe in terms of the long game. I think that this is substantial, and I think it's going to cause a stir. I think that one of the ways that you're going to know it's going to cause a stir is all the negative feedback that's going to be pouring through.
Yeah.
One thing that I do know is that, the blockchains, everybody says, oh, everything's open source and everything's kumbaya. Guys, don't get it twisted. It's a competition, all right? And they will send professional fudders our way. So I think that's going to be the feedback initially. But here's the thing: he's not begging anybody for money, so you can't really stop the process. So, guys, just if I could talk to the crowd here, based on what I've seen, I was like, you guys have got to extend out your time horizons right now and understand this is a long game being played.
Yeah, and a lot of people are stretched to the gills because of this extended bear market. But again, you got to be patient with crypto. It is the long game. The people that play the short game win short prizes, and
Yeah.
that's always been the case. And I've seen many of people get wrecked, playing that short game and not, looking for the long game. And people are going to play this too. There was a mention of a sacrifice for this thing. I don't know if there's going to be any type of airdrop or anything. I didn't see anything like that mentioned. Who knows? That's never really giving away free stuff is never good. Um,
Yeah.
so, but it is a game of waiting and being patient and watching it roll out and seeing how it works, and then promoting it. That's our job as the community, as the educators in this space. I mean, that's what we do. We try and get the word out, of the things that guys like Richard build. And this space is full of good people that know which direction real DeFi should go. And it's our stories and it's our lessons and it's our education that is going to be the promotion of what's going on here. Unfortunately, in the crypto space, loud and fast and number go up has been more important than the tech. I know that's always the big cliche. I'm in it for the tech. I'm in it for the tech. But in reality, what are we really all in it for? If you don't have all these things that we say crypto is, then you really don't have the real true marketing of it. Number go up has just been something that has come along the way as people have come into this space and moved the market share up of the space, and the hype and the meme coins and the garbage narratives that have come out with all that stuff have really taken place over the tech and what we're really trying to do here, which is bank the unbanked, have our own money, take it away from the centralized agencies and people and companies that have been screwing us over for years, and it's funny, we just continue to lose that narrative even when we're speaking it, because there's crypto bros out there with channels with hundreds of thousands and millions of followers that are still speaking the old school crap,
Yeah.
still shilling the old shit that doesn't work, and and hoping that number goes up still and trying to hold
Yeah.
on to followers that way.
Yeah. Push comes to shove. You and I both know this. It's these people with huge audiences. Your follower count doesn't give an indication of your cryptocurrency IQ.
No.
If all you've ever done is played, I'll tell you a story. I talked to a very popular influencer on YouTube. This guy has 500,000 followers on YouTube. And I said, "Hey man, give me like an idea of how these VCs or these foundations, Polkadot, for example, how do they approach you? What's this whole process look like for you to get paid and go and shill something?" And he says, "Man, it's crazy." He says, "I get contacted via email or Telegram. I verify they are who they are. They say, we want 3 videos, we want 10 shorts, and we want an AMA. And we're going to pay you $35,000. And here's all the talking points. Here's what we're all about." And he says, start to finish, the whole transaction takes like 3 or 4 days, right? The guy doesn't understand like what he's doing. He doesn't understand what he's shilling, and it's just completely transactional. And he's being used, and ultimately he's, you know, many instances he's leading his flock astray. Now, he might not be leading them astray right now, but if all those people get involved in centralized exchanges, and guess what happens? You know, you get a different type of government in the next 10 or 20 years. Maybe they come and shut down all those exchanges, and they freeze your cryptocurrency and all that. Like, people don't think long term like that. And they like the ease of use of centralized exchanges. They don't know any better. Now, with any sort of freedom or any sort of liberty, whether it be financial or anything else, it comes with sacrifices. So what's the sacrifice with this? We got to learn how to custody your own stuff, right?
Yep.
And people say, oh, that's too difficult. Oh, I got to download a wallet. I got to do this. There's no customer service line, blah, 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 blah. I think as time goes on, as technology continues to develop, I think that we're going to see that gap of inconvenience really start to shrink. And I think that we're going to start to see that for Pulse Chain with this piece of technology, given that it executes the way it's being advertised, which I think it will. So I'm excited about that. So I think that the comfort of centralized exchanges is going to wane. I think it's going to go more towards decentralized finance, people holding their own stuff, because society doesn't stay static. It doesn't stay the same. And there's going to be need for you to custody your own stuff in the future. And there's going to be a need for marketing to let people know that exists out there. So, you know, I saw somebody in the chat say, another 4 year, lads, 4 years. Okay. Another 4 years. If you go to your financial advisor on day one, do you walk in there and do they teach you how to day trade? No. They're like, here's your 35-year plan, guys.
Literally.
Yeah. So it's like treat it like that.
I remember, you know, I was a young lad, you know, just starting out in my job and starting to do well, became a foreman and all that. And got married, and my father-in-law sat me down, he was a big executive for a Fortune 5 company. And he said, it's time to, you know, show you how to do some investing and whatnot. And right about then was when, what was it called? The trading exchange, one of the first ones. It was, doggone it, I can't remember the name of it now. But anyway, they were advertise. It was, now you can day trade online. It was like boom, boom, boom. It was, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Anyway, like regular stocks.
Yeah, it was regular stocks, but it was becoming very, very popular at the time. And, you know, you couldn't trade before without, you know, going to a broker and doing the whole, you know, setting up a trade account and all that kind of stuff. And a trade took you days and weeks to make these trades and stuff. And then, you know, only the insiders knew how to, you know, actually do the day trading. They were there in their computers and doing all the paper trades and all that stuff. But these guys made it to where anybody can do it. And it was one of the first platforms. So I was talking to my father-in-law about, yeah, I'm going to do this and get in and this one looks good. And that one, he's like, oh, whoa, wait a second. And set me up with the broker, and the broker's like, okay, like you said, let's talk about your 35-year plan. And, you know, and I was like, oh, it was the Motley Fool. It was before E-Trade, guys. It was even before. It was called the Motley Fool. And I don't know if they're still around or what, or maybe they changed names or something. But anyway, it was an eye opener to me about, you know, the waiting game and time frames and what investing really meant, you know. And then when crypto came along, and of course the first thing that got me even interested in it was the number go up when I saw that little bit of Bitcoins that I had in my wallet, you know, go exponential in like 6 months. I was like, whoa, wait a second, there's something here. And then from that day on, I was looking at it like that, money manager taught me. I was like, okay, well, where's the Berkshire Hathaway investment here? Where's the Warren Buffett style of investing going to be here?
Yeah.
And as I looked into it, as I got into the pump and dump rooms and watched all of the network marketing crap, hit in 2015, 16, 17, all the way to the big run up, first big run up that I was in actually. I noticed that there wasn't a culture of that. There wasn't a culture of, the Warren Buffett style of how to invest. And until I seen Hex come along. And then when Hex came along, I was like, there it is. Here's where the rubber hits the road with this crypto. And this might be the savior of it. This might be the thing that really makes it mainstream. Because, from when I got into crypto till Hex came, I was like, this is extremely difficult for people of my age to really understand, and older, the people that had the real money, the boomers and the Xers that really have a hold of the wealth that's out there. And I was like, well, how are they going to get in? Because that's what I want to see. When we're talking about adoption, we're talking about money coming in. It's those people, it's those investors, it's those long-term investors that I want to see in this. And it was just too complicated. And even when Hex came out, as excited as I was about Hex, I didn't see a way to explain. And even to this day, some of my friends that I've gotten into Hex, they're like, hey, I need your help with this. I need to look at my stakes, or I've got to, they really have a hard time with it. However, things have started to change. And now every guy that comes and does my plumbing or, details my car or whatever has a Venmo, a Zelle account, and they know how to work these things. And they're starting to, when Robinhood came out, you started to see everybody have some crypto somehow, some way. So people are starting to, lean into these technologies. But where we are at with the bridging and, Pulse Chain and all, and the decentralized exchanges and all this kind of stuff, it's a little more difficult. It's a harder learning curve, but people are coming around. And if they're using Zelle and Venmo and and doing things like this with their bank accounts now on their apps, that means that I think that this generation, these older generations with the money are starting to actually get the learning curve. And with things like this, now it puts them in a position to actually use them without getting overly confused or overwhelmed with the technology.
Yeah. And, there's something to be said, like, see, I don't know if people know this or not, but I didn't get into Hex until 2020, late 2020, early 2021. And prior to that, I was in Bitcoin back in 2013. It's actually funny because I was watching a mainstream podcast and some guy was like, he's 4 or 5 people on there. And some dude's like, when'd you get into Bitcoin? He was like, 2016. He was like, bro, 2016. You got to be kidding me, man. That made me feel kind of old in this space. But, the thing is, like, I always liken this to, people were heading out west, right? And they're trying to settle their plot of land. And they're just going through unimaginable things, horrible things. Mm. And they're fighting and fighting and fighting. And they finally get to their destination, right? It's some prairie way out there. And they say, we're gonna set up shop here. And there's, 20 people. And they start building houses. They might build 1 or 2 houses. There might be 20 people in there until they can build another one. And then, maybe 10 years goes by. Some of the people, they were pregnant on the way out there. So they had their first kids out there, right? And those kids start to grow up. And then
those are some hard people, man. Think about it.
Hard. Dude, it's unimaginable.
We were out there in the middle of the prairie in a vehicle that had wooden wheels with steel wrapped around it, going over the plains with no roads. Pregnant.
And the weather and food and water, and then the Native Americans at the time, you're up in their territory, so they're gonna scalp you, so it's like, it's unimaginable what those folks went through to go find what they wanted to do. But they were they were intent and they were determined to build their own future. And it didn't start out beautiful, guys.
Yeah.
These
A
houses
lot
and
of them
these
didn't make.
buildings, no, they didn't. They died. It's like
Yeah.
75% attrition rate or higher.
Yeah. And even those that
Um,
made it, it took generations to actually make it. Like they went out
yeah,
there and plowed that hard dirt and farmed and raised whatever cattle, pigs, sheep, whatever they had to. And it took generations before actual real monetary stability came to their families, you know?
yeah.
So,
And like what's happening right now? It's like we're a nascent chain, right? And just like out there on the prairie, time goes on, people say, okay, well there's a need for somebody to track back east 800 miles or 1,000 miles to go get supplies and bring it back. Well, now you have supply lines, right? And then you start getting building materials. And then somebody says, oh, we got a lot of horses here and their hooves are jacked up. So we need to create a service for the community to be able to fix that for those people. And then a guy's like, man, there's some raggedy looking people here. I need to create a barbershop and a shave place. So he creates that on that plot of land on one side of town. And then they start to make these roads and it builds out. So really, I really think about this. I've always thought about Pulse Chain as that sort of situation. It's like you got to take the people who are willing to go, and you got to build stuff out, and you got to market things. Marketing is extremely important, right?
yeah.
And create that infrastructure that's going to be able to house future generations. Now, when I say generations in crypto, I'm talking a couple years here. We get newcomers come in and they stay, and then newcomers after that. But I think that cryptocurrency is not going away. We've got billions and trillions of dollars that are going to be flowing through, and people are going to be looking for places to park, right, and to settle. So we've got to create that infrastructure now for those people later, so it goes smoothly for them.
And let's not forget also when we look back to those pioneers that you were talking about, that the hucksters, the shucksters, the fudders, and the scammers existed then too,
Yeah,
and preyed upon those people or tried to stop those people, lied to those people, cheated those people, and even outright took those people out to steal whatever it was that they had that they were out there doing. So that the human element still existed. That same human element that's here still existed um, back then. So people haven't changed,
no,
and people haven't changed to want to go out and make change and do good for themselves and their families and everything. And that's the message and the story that needs to be behind our marketing. Because I think that the world is tired of this this BS marketing that's out there. Let's buy a stadium and put our name on it and see if that makes it work. And everybody will think we're the big shits and that's where the money is, so they're going to come to us. And and it works, and it's worked for a while. I think humans are becoming more like show me the beef on this thing, man. Show me
yeah,
what's for real. And I'm noticing that a lot more, that people want the real deal. They want to see the story. They want to hear what this is all about and how it's going to affect their everyday life, because things are getting tougher and tougher and tougher for folks. And it's not easy to watch. And crypto and the way DeFi is set up is something that can help and can fix that, especially a product like Hex. When you look at the investment opportunities that are out there for the regular man, Hex is the ideal asset for people to try and do that. And I just hope that we can get that message out there and stop what they're going to try and do to us, because it's coming again. There,
yes, it
as
is.
we get deeper and deeper into this, as we put our thumb in more and more eyes, we're going to have a harder and harder time fighting these powers that be. We're going up against now. Not only were we going up against the banks and stuff with crypto, and I don't know if we won or it was we can't beat them, let's join them thing, or they're trying to usurp it. It's, like one of those three things, I think. Um, the exchanges has become so powerful that they're even more or as powerful as the banks and the other centralized agencies out there that we were combating. So we've got a lot to go up against still,
Yeah, I see stuff on Twitter all the time, and a lot of folks are kind of just in cryptocurrency to get their thrills, right? It really is the casino, and they can make a quick buck and then lose it the next day and then make it back again. Just dopamine hits left and right. What people don't realize, I think, in this community is how many folks actually got targeted, man. Targeted by the federal government, and a lot of these people don't talk about it, but they came after a whole lot of people, and it's subsided right now, which is real nice. But again, things don't stay static. Things are dynamic. Pendulum swing left, pendulum swing right, pendulum swing back left again. And we have to be prepared for that in the future. And that's what kind of motivates me at a core philosophical level. It's like, I know that we are different. I know that we've got problems and we've got issues and we're working them out. But I think that this is better than the alternative everywhere else in the world. Yeah. I think that to go on your point there, you talked about people coming, they're becoming more privy to these games, right? I think a big part of that is because in the past we were so modular and segmented, and information, it was a lot harder to pass. Now we have the internet, and I think that freedom of speech is ultimately, one of the biggest threats to anybody who wants to crush you financially, and if they're going to do bad things, they want to be able to control how fast that word gets out and spreads.
Yeah.
And the good thing is there's technology that's coming out that will help us in that way, but that technology can also be used in bad ways in the future. So we have to have that long mindset and prepare ourselves now for those eventualities.
And let's not forget those places that we do have free speech. The people that own them also have agendas,
Yes.
And that also is a problem. We don't know how throttled we are, how tight they're making our bubbles, where we speak and where we talk and who we're talking to. They can corral us in our speech with these platforms, with Twitter and YouTube and all of these things. They can corral. They have already. Like, there's things you can and cannot say on TikTok without being banned or removed. There's things I can't do here live on stream without being banned or removed. And so, I mean, the lines are blurring between the old centralized, authorities and the new centralized authorities, and I mean, for instance, I just got this message on my phone, bro. It just came in. It's from it's a Coinbase alert, right? Unlock 40% of Coinbase One. Now, $29.99 for the first year. There's never been a better time to apply for a Coinbase One card and start earning Bitcoin back. Membership, is $59.99 a year. So Coinbase has now put out a credit card, and they're going to do the same thing that the credit card companies did. And they're going to charge you interest and charge you a fee annually to use it. And they know how to put people on the dole, right? Yeah. We'll let you lend your crypto out and pay your bills and buy your rims and your tennis shoes. And we're going to take the profits off of it. They're just doing the same thing that the old players did, and it's the lines are being blurred. So,
yeah, man, I really wish Dave Ramsey was a crypto guy, because his whole mantra of having a credit score of 0, that means you're not enslaved by anybody. I really like that idea. And that's kind of, I wish he comes over to the dark side here, man.
Have you ever read a book called Die Broke?
I've not read that book. No.
It's a good book. It talks about, making and using your wealth while you're here on this planet and not
Yeah.
accumulating it. Like I always use the analogy of, I've got my great grandfather's gold, my grandfather's gold, my father's gold, and my gold all in a safe.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wait a minute. I'm looking at my great grandfather's, gold going, this is awesome that I have this, and then I'm thinking about it. It has done none of us any good.
I
None
know.
of us any good, you know.
Yeah.
Over the years, it's sat in safes over and over, and it'll sit in my children's, safes and you know, deposit boxes. Um, After
Yeah.
that,
So what are you going to do? What are you going to do with that? How are you going to make things better? Right? Is it going to be better by just sitting in your safe all day or decade after decade?
yeah. So I always say this: there's nothing new under the sun. Humans do what humans do. And just like back when the pioneers were being scammed and huckstered and shuckstered and whatnot. Just like when we seen Bernie Madoff, pull his Ponzi scheme, and then Sam Bankman-Fried tried to do the same thing with FTX. I mean, those things are just constantly going to go on. So I think that there's a lesson to be learned here in this space now that is important, which is look at history, look at what those people. And Richard says this all the time. These guys are going to rip you off. Look at who they are. Look at what they do, and believe them believe them. And when I look at what Richard has done, he's been the only guy in this space that hasn't ripped anybody off. And people can complain and cry about the sacrifice funds and all that all they want. He still hasn't ripped anybody off or given anybody a bad product for what he put out there. So I mean, I'm really interested in the narrative moving on from here and where we go telling the story from here, and how people come to it, and how, as I see this world changing and people looking for something real, we get that message of real out there, because they're going to come at us and say, oh, these DeFi guys, they're the terrorists, the drug dealers, the money launderers, the terrorist sponsors. They're going to say all of that because, of course, DeFi is like having cash. Of course, you have the responsibility of like having cash, digital cash, but there's got to be a case for it, just like there's a case for cash, and they're going to come at us that way. They're going to try and demonize us, which they already have. I mean, that's the narrative out there about DeFi from the centralized exchanges, even though they've tried, with things like Base and whatnot to decentralize themselves a little bit. But
Sell pressure. Base is sell pressure, pretty much.
sell pressure, yeah.
Validators out there dumping ETH price, for base transaction layers. So it's, yeah, man. This is going to be a shameless shill here. One of the things that really frustrated me about just being around this community and others was that there was nobody to really reach out to be able to come up with ideas and bring them to market. You talk to 8 people who have developed any sort of, maybe it's not a token, maybe it's whatever it is. Maybe it's a DApp of some sorts that does a cool thing, or maybe it's a front end. If they contact these developers, 8 out of 10 people are getting rugged. They're going to have a horrible story to tell. So, that's why the whole ethos of you settle a place and you start to create services for people to be able to use in a safe way. That's why I started buildthetech.com. And we've been able to help out a whole lot of folks. We've been able to build cool websites. We've been able to really build cool staking protocols. You've got Vouch, for example. Vouch is pretty neat as well, and that's increasing the validator count and quite a few others. So I'm trying to do my part and just tell people that if you want a place to be able to come up with an idea, and it doesn't have to be a crypto idea, guys. It can be a business. We handle that sort of stuff too. It can be Web 2. But we want to serve the community in a safe way That's important to us.
That's
So I hope more people do that.
just to fill your bucket a little bit on your shill. Um, obvious. I mean, that wasn't, I had you come on here because of the, what happened today, and I haven't streamed in a while. I wanted to stream, and you said, yeah, cool, man. And it definitely didn't have you on here to show your thing, but just to fill your bucket. I've been in this space for a long time. I've been in some shady, dark alleys of this place for a long time. And I've even built crypto products, or been part of the building of crypto products, where the developers have flaked, scammed, built bad shit, rug pulled.
All the time.
Been around it. I've been involved in it, and I've been a victim of it, from unscrupulous people. But and I got to admit, from the beginning, I've always had high regard for you. But you and your company and what you guys have done has been exemplary. You guys have always done the right thing. Even when people that you were involved with went sideways, you did the right thing there. So my hat's off to you for being that kind of guy. You're a stand-up man. Your word is your bond, and you're salt of the earth. And I'm proud that your projects are being built on Pulse Chain, because you're the type of people that we need around here, with integrity, that want to do the right thing. And then if you do something that doesn't work or isn't right, you admit to it. And I've that right there is what really makes the puts the rubber to the road, is that you've always admitted when you were wrong or made a mistake or whatever. And that's something that you don't see a lot of in this space. So my hats off to you guys and your company for what you've been doing.
Dude, that's huge, man. I really appreciate that. It's difficult for me to respond to that, but I appreciate it greatly, and that's what we're here for. We're here to help folks out and do it in a safe way, because there's so many landmines out there.
Yeah, you keep doing it. You keep doing it. There's going to be some better stuff coming out. And I always say this. There's going to be better streamers. There's going to be better product developers. There's going to be better marketers out there that put us on the map. And we just got to keep exposing them. We just got to keep telling the stories. We just got to keep going out there and finding each other, and talking amongst each other, and being cautious and self-accountable to all of these things out there that are, like I just seen it recently. Like, we've got new people coming into the space, and all of a sudden, bam, they're on a new project, talking about a new project, and we've had, the hot, woman doing the whole thing, doing that kind of stuff. And it's like, be careful, people. And, when somebody tells you who they are, if they're a paid shill and they say they're a paid shill, well, hey, then, take that with a grain of salt, because at least they're being honest about who they are. I like that about some of them that come in here. But some of them are here just to, whoop your ass and try and take your money, or try and get you into their thing that may or may not be any good. So it's this space's responsibility and everybody's individual accountability to make sure that they're doing the right thing, backing the right people, getting into the right projects, and not going out and wrecking themselves and then going out there and crying about it.
Yeah, it's difficult, man, because it's like you don't see some 75-year-old dude, pulling out a shotgun on somebody because they fudded Tesla, the stock that he holds, right? But we're so emotionally tied to this. It's interesting to watch.
Yeah. I mean, you see it all the time out there, and the internet has changed the way we as humans communicate. And I've gone from a world where people communicated in person, like if you use the phone, it was like, okay, motherfucker, I'm on my way over there right now. Bam,
Right.
and it was on. There was no I don't know who fuck you 375 is, because I'm idiot 259, and it just people communicate differently now. People are more emboldened to say and do the wrong things, um, and do the wrong things, especially in this space. Um,
There's no
but
accountability.
there's no accountability,
You can get away with it, and you
and
just create another username.
and literally, I've watched people and myself lose millions of dollars, and there is no accountability. Like, those people are gone. They walked off with people's money, and there's no accountability. Like, you can send all the three-letter agencies you want after them. For the most part, when crypto bro rips you off, you don't usually get your money back 9 times out of 10. And it's sad, but it's true in this space.
It is, man. It is, and but that's the reality. So, how long do you typically stream here? I want to be cognizant of
Now,
that.
this is the effing hangout, so usually we just keep going until I know it's late for you, so whenever
Oh,
you're
I'm
ready
good.
to call it.
No, I'm good. I'm good. One of the decisions that I made in the past year and a half or so, um, I decided that I wanted to be a really good ambassador of the community or communities that I was representing. And it's because I want to be able to, if there's big players out there that want to have conversations with us, I think it's important for us to show the world that we're approachable, right? And if you come up to somebody or you see him on Twitter and they just have a wild freaking PFP and it's like cuss, 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 fight, 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 this and that, they're not even gonna think twice about passing on you.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I would like for people to consider is you know let's grow up with Pulse Chain here, right? Let's maybe not focus, and this is my opinion, guys, let's not focus so much on what everybody else is doing. Let's just do what we're doing very, very well. And be kind with people. If they're crazy, just ghost them, okay?
Yeah.
You don't have to blast folks. But the more that we do that, I think the better off that we are overall, because there's so many eyes on us all the time. It's so important. Yeah, I try to avoid Johnny as much as possible. I do not send anybody his way. I only DM him. I don't let anybody know publicly that I'm talking to him.
I literally just got off the phone with Johnny right before the stream started.
Well, Johnny's very transparent. Johnny runs a business. He always says you can find out exactly what I do, who I am, and he's very transparent in that way.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking you to give up anonymity, but at the same time, there's a certain way that the world works, right? And I think that crypto scares a lot of people off because there's this preconceived notion and stereotype of who we are and what we do.
Yeah.
And I personally I've decided to kind of start to shed the old way of doing things and just represent my community as best as I can. And just be invited to those opportunities for me to be able to argue with people back and forth in an intelligent way. But if I don't present myself a certain way, I'm not going to get invited to that show, that event, or that conversation with somebody. So I want to impress upon people how serious I think that is in the long run. As we grow as a community, we're not going to have to fight as much, because I think we'll be winning,
Yeah.
and I don't know when we're going to arrive at the winning part. I think we already are winning because we've survived. You guys survived way more than I have, in Hex's early days, but that's my message.
And it's it's created some hard folks in the space. The old FUD, the three-letter agencies coming after everybody, all of crypto coming after everybody. The bear market, hurting everybody and their families and everything else. There's a lot of challenges that has made a lot of people, the fire that is burned here has, if it hasn't forged you, it burns you up. And
Yeah.
so the people that are around, I think, are forged, and we need a strong voice. We need uh, people that have been through the fire and been forged. But like you said, it has to be done in a way um, where people see and recognize who we are and what we've been through, versus how loud and proud we are. We've tried all that stuff, and there were times that, and I'm not proud of all of
Neither
my
am I.
here,
Neither am I.
you
Neither am
know,
I.
um, but I was learning how to navigate this space.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to take a win or a loss at first. I didn't understand the communication skill level of most of the people in this space,
I've got flashbacks from you right now.
and where it was going to take me.
You've
Because
come a long way, man. You've come a long way.
yeah, you know, but I was a blue collar worker all my life. Things. I'd never had a win
Right.
ever. I mean, don't get me wrong. I won. I live in California. I own properties. I had to retire.
Right.
I retired from a career, and now I'm in a different career. I'm not retired. Retired. I'm. This whole crypto thing is a 24/7 deal too. And helping out with the foundation and trying to get the good word of DeFi out. So it's been a learning curve, and it's been difficult to navigate, especially being an old ex guy like I am. Um, but it has been rewarding, and it has, forged me in ways that I never thought I was going to be forged. And now, in retrospect, as I look at everything that's gone on, I keep going back to, the way that we're going to get the word out is marketing who we are, the resilience of this community in DeFi, and the things that we've had to go up against. And I think that people are going to start seeing it. They're going to start seeing, what these centralized agencies are doing, and that they're not changing the status quo. It's really crypto's like, we couldn't beat them, so we're joining. We thought it was the other way around, where the bankers were like, well, I can't beat them, join them. It seems like crypto is going, well, we can't beat them, join them, is what's
Yeah.
really happening here. And that's not the answer. The answer is DeFi, and we're the ones that hold the cards on that, and it's our message that needs to get out there. And again, I don't know exactly how that's going to look or what that marketing is going to require, but I see things starting to go in a direction that people want real. People
Yeah.
want real. They don't want to be sold anything anymore. They want to hear it from the people who have, like you said, the pioneers. They want to buy
Yeah.
the pioneers' goods.
It's the
And
best time to, it's the best time to be a part of that little gang, at the very beginning.
yeah,
Um, you know, when I was younger, I had these lofty dreams of, being a musician, and I got the opportunity to talk to a successful musician, and I said, "Hey, man, like, what's the secret to making really good music? Like, what do you do? Do you use like compressors or EQs, or like, what do you do?" He's like, he just looked at me straight in the eye. He was like, "The key?" He's like, "Just make good music, man." And then I sat back and I was like, man, he couldn't give me anything more than that. But as I think back on that, I'm like Pulse Chain, what's the key? One of the keys to marketing success: just make good technology
exactly.
and cater to your user base, and use that as the filter in everything that you do. Make sure that you have them in mind. And if you build that good experience, people are going to get a taste and they'll keep coming back and they're just going to stay. So
Yeah,
that's a big part of this too. And I think we're going to see, based on the timeline, based on what we have rolling out right now, things are going to really start to gel together, I think. And I think those preconceived notions are fading away. And we're even seeing, just Richard, for example. I don't like to talk too much about how Richard carries himself or what he does, but I've seen a difference even over the past, 7 years, 5 years with him.
Yeah.
And his Christmas message, he's like, guys, like, it's time to, let's be a little bit more professional. Let's carry ourselves better. Let's do this. Let's do that. And I agree with him wholeheartedly there. Arm yourself with the shield of facts. If somebody comes at you, just give them the facts, because you have to understand this. If you're on Twitter or social media, you're not arguing with that person. It's an opportunity to teach everybody else who's watching, right? So when you get back and forth, you miss that opportunity. When you go at somebody really, really hard, it's like facts. Facts work, and get good on those facts and understand your chain, understand decentralized finance. Go to hexsearch.io and just put in a keyword about something you don't understand and take notes. Like, there's so many things that can be done.
Yeah.
So I think we got to approach it that way. We got to change the culture, the one-upmanship, the toxicity, the trying to grab clout from everybody. It's just, it's horrible. It's just evil. I'm just going to say it. That's what it is. And we got to turn away from that.
Yeah. No, it's from the outside looking in, people see that and they don't want to be a part of it. I got a phone call. Actually, it was from my good friend who passed. This was just couple of weeks before. He said, "Hey man, I was just in this Telegram space, and it was a bunch of pulse chain people and whatnot. And there was people throwing racial slurs and doing this and saying that." And he said, "That I can't be sending people around that kind of stuff. And what
Exactly.
the heck is going on, man?" And I said, "That's the crypto bro space. Unfortunately, we have a lot of that. We have a lot of, people that are doing things that are just juvenile. And, and even the meme coin making and all of that stuff, the names of things have been very juvenile. My camera's not focusing, but anyway. So
no, you're just old, man. That's all.
I'm not telling people to put on a suit and tie for real. I mean, I'm the guy.
No, you don't have to.
And
carry yourself, carry yourself differently.
So, but it's how you speak. It's what you say. It's how you act. Like I said, with that integrity and trying to do the right thing, and that's going to go a long way in this space, with promoting us. And I think we have, one of the largest, loudest, hardest working communities in the crypto space, if not the largest, loudest, hardest working group of people in the crypto space and communities. There's no reason why we shouldn't dominate, why people, wouldn't want to come here and be part of this, and take a look at what it is. But again, like you said, it's the products that are going to speak for it. You build good stuff like Richard has, and you're going to bring the people. I think that right now, the way the economy is, the way people are dealing with the economy and what's going on, is elongated this bear market. I think there's some good things on the horizon. You and I both talked about that earlier about the quantitative easing going away and QE disappearing and more interest rate cuts and things becoming easier for people to go out and do commerce again. I think those things are going to usher in a new bull market. It's been strange. This bull market has been strange. I mean, we're in it, but we're not in it. So
yeah, and there's I see people fighting pulse chain price and hex price. I understand where they're coming from. I especially understand if they've not been around a while, or they don't have access to the information about what's happening globally right now. And there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of confusion globally. And we're seeing massive volatility. We're seeing volatility to the upside. We saw massive volatility to the downside. And ultimately, the markets don't really like that. But if you zoom out even further, even the economic system that's been put in place for the past 100 years ultimately was going to screw everybody anyway. So it's a really really tough situation for somebody who comes into this and they have these lofty expectations about what crypto should do and shouldn't do, but they don't have any understanding what's happening outside of their bubble. So I think it's important for us to be trying our best to educate people in that way as well. Just learn, guys. Knowledge really is power. It's so cliche, but it's so important. It makes your life easier when you start to understand kind of what's happening. And I say I understand, but I'm also not naive enough to think that I know what's going on, because ultimately we just parrot things that we've seen. But we can learn from the past. We can learn about history. We can learn about how these system works and the flaws in these systems and why things are the way they are. So I think just professionalism and just arming ourselves with knowledge and facts and being able to deliver that message. That's extremely important.
Yeah, history does tell a story. There's nothing new under the sun. Like, this stuff has been worked over and over and over and
Yeah.
over and over again. All these things, we just have different ways of doing them. Like that's my message when I do sit down with, a boomer or an Xer, somebody who's been around, in a world where this type of technology didn't exist, where cell phones didn't exist, where they made their money and saved their money before these things existed. I tell them that, this is nothing new that you don't know. You know and understand all of this. It's all the same stuff that's been played over and over again. Now there's just a way to use technology to put all the positive externalities of finance into one place and put them
Yeah.
at your fingertips and allow you to use them independently of all the agencies that you used to have to. I mean, think about how far we've come. When you look at our ecosystem and what's about to happen with this new launch, and then you go all the way back to, like, say, where my grandfather was, who was born, in the Great Depression, who's 97 years old, just took him to the Rams game. Uh,
Nice.
and yeah, that was a lot of fun being able to take him there. We hadn't been to a football game in 46 years.
Did you get him
Myself,
a did you get him a brewski or a hot dog or
got
something?
him a hot dog and a brewski, and he
Nice.
kicked it, and he got to sit in the box. My brother's company put us in the box. It was an awesome
Awesome.
treat to be able to take him there and do that. But
Yeah.
you look at a guy like that, and who had to, save and put money away in a certain way, and he was a beneficiary of a pension plan. And people don't know what those things were. It was a way to save your money and work for a company for 40. He worked for the same company for 45 years, and
Yeah.
and left there with a pension.
Yeah.
And right before all the pensions started getting ripped out from everybody's, out from the rug pull, the great pension rug pulls, and then the 401ks came. But it's all of these things, the positives of all of those things, programmed into something that we control, coded in a way that it has the same code of the positive externality of the stock markets and pensions and all of these things, real world finance, inflation tools. All of it is in, the hex and pulse chain ecosystem. Richard Hart has built all those things with positive externalities in it that allows you to do the things that people haven't been able to do for hundreds of years, where they've had to eke out little bits and pieces of it and carve their financial situation out of it. Now all these things exist for you to just literally reach out and grab them. I mean, if you're looking at long term, there would be nothing better than, getting into something like Hex and this ecosystem and using it for your long-term plays and working and saving and putting money away, and building validators and having hex stakes and doing all the things that can actually earn you value over the years and
Yeah.
have a retirement, which today is very difficult to do. I mean, look at the people that are that are, retiring from 401ks, where if they didn't have to cash them out early, which most of them did, like in 2008 when the big crash came and everything, just to survive, they, had to, deal with the market downturns and whatnot as they were trying to get out. And that hasn't bid well for a lot of folks. So these things are here and in place, and there is nothing new under the sun. But the positive externalities, like guys like you are actually looking at, you look at the market, you look at the things that have, like you said, history, and you go, okay, well, how can I make this exist here in code so that people trust it?
Yep.
And there is no Bernie Madoff that can come in here and
Right.
mess with this thing. There is no pension, three shell Monty game that can be played here. How do I do that? And guys like you are doing that, programming it in, and that needs to be put out there to get people to understand what crypto really is, because that's what it really is. It's not, hey, buy this coin and the dog face on it and you're going to get rich, and that's what a lot of people see versus what you and guys like Richard are really doing.
Yeah, one of the things that I like about the service that we provide is we're the first check and balance in the process. Because you can get any Joe Schmo that comes up and says, hey, I want to build this thing. I got all this money. Let's build this thing. But if we're taking a look at it and we're like, hey, sorry, dude, we're not going to launch this because the way that you have it right now is going to wreck a lot of people. It's going to give you the power to wreck a lot of people. So we don't put that sort of technology out there. And if they don't like it, then they got to walk. If they want to work with us and figure out a way to make it safe for folks to interact with, then we're certainly going to be able to do that. So I think that we need more of that. And it's kind of difficult though for a regular person to do that. And that's because you just don't have the knowledge to be able to even understand or look at the code or the contract. You can run it through ChatGPT, but that only goes so far. And we do audits too for that reason. Yeah.
I've brought a couple of people to you where they've had, grand ideas, but you've sat down with them and said, hey, well, this is what it looks like. This is what it could look like. And, and it doesn't always work out, and,
No.
That's,
I try to talk people out of it more than I try to talk people into it, actually, because people don't understand how much it takes financially, emotionally, all that sort of stuff to really bring something to market and make it successful. 99% of people aren't. So you got to have that tough conversation at the front end, set their expectations, be like, this is the toughest thing you will ever do if you want to do it right.
You ain't lying.
Yeah,
You ain't lying. Pins and needles. And then, if it doesn't work, if there's any hiccups, your ass is on the line, there's, your
right.
reputation, everything, so doing your due diligence as you do is, that's a CYA and making sure that you do good business. So that's, another feather in your cap for doing it that way, versus, yeah, sure, let's do it. Let's go.
I know. It's
give me 20 grand and we'll get started.
Right. And it's all part of that reputation thing. It's like, if I don't set their expectations in the front end and they think that I have some magic wand to make everything work and everybody's going to love this, it's like, they're going to come back and they're going to feel a certain type of way. But if you set their expectations and you're honest, and it's just basic business sort of stuff, be straightforward with people. If they walk, they walk. But you'll be around a long time if you operate that way, I think.
That's the key. Integrity, man. Integrity. It's the long game in business. Doing the right thing, giving people a good deal, being honest. It's a good way to do business. You don't have to rip everybody off, folks.
No. Toyota, there's a book called The Toyota Way, and it kind of outlines their philosophy of business. And one of the chapters in there, they talk about, we're never going to be number one, but we're always going to be number 3 or number 2. And that's because a lot of times the number one folks, if there's a lot of competition, number one folks can kind of do things shady a little bit. And Toyota's okay with being number 3.
Every great fortune is a great crime.
Right. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
spoken yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, that. I mean, that doesn't stand for everything, but it is a saying.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Well, anything else that we should go over? Is there any questions out in the chat room that you've seen that have come through? I haven't seen
Got any
any
questions?
asking any questions. Any questions, folks? Somebody did ask me one question. Oh, this project that Richard's launching, will it affect PulseX? And no, I don't think so. I think it runs right alongside PulseX. PulseX think of as your online way to move crypto to crypto
Yep.
and purchase, your trades and whatnot through the decentralized exchange. And then this platform is going to help you, validate transactions and be what do you call it? A lots of words. The your execution layer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it will handle transactions and on ramping and off ramping and those kinds of things, and definitely needed. And having a decentralized mode of that is freaking awesome. I mean,
Yeah, it all depends for folks in the chat. It all depends on what this looks like when he releases more information. So again, we talked about this at the beginning. There's some puzzle pieces that I think we need to be filled in here. It's like, okay, you've got dollars, and let's say you want pulse. Well, where's that pulse coming from, and where are those dollars being transacted, or are they being transferred into, again, like we need a stable coin. I think that's huge for this.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so that's going to be the big question as to what all that looks like. But to answer your question about PulseX, it depends on how it's built. Does this take directly from the PulseX liquidity pools? I don't know. Are we if there is some sort of stable coin at some point, there's got to be a pool
Well,
maybe
I think in P2P means that it's going to be, peer to peer. Somebody's going to put up a sell. It's going to be OTC type stuff.
it's going to be OTC, but who's putting up the sell side? That's the
That's what I'm
question.
saying.
Where's that coming from?
So anybody can create a transaction and operate it through there.
Yeah, but if
Or
they're
put up a
my
marketplace.
question is, yeah, if you got an asset or somebody wants an asset, and like what if there's not a seller selling that asset? So what's the backup plan for that? Does it pull from a pool just like the centralized exchanges do? They source from decentralized exchanges as well. Coinbase does, and all the others. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any sort of direct impact on there. One thing that's cool though is the token is going to be burnt with every single transaction that comes out. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. And so the supply is just going to constantly keep going down, down, down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So and and there's going to be, folks, there's going to be, just like any other launch of any other coin, there is going to be FOMO, and there is going to be a pump and a crash and all that good stuff. So just beware of all that before you start EESing and jumping into another coin or something, because I know we're gonna see it happen. people are gonna People are gonna dump and FOMO in and all that kind of stuff. And I always suggest against all that. I tell people, be careful with what fire you're playing with, because there are a lot of pitfalls when it comes to messing with these things, especially when they're launching.
Snipers, guys, that's the biggest scourge we have on Pulse Chain.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if you're running a sniping bot. It's just the truth. You are the destroyer of people's dreams. The destroyer. So here's the thing too. Like, if you don't like the fact that there's a sacrifice, completely understandable. I get that. But guess what? This is cool tech that you're actually going to be able to use, and you don't have to buy or sacrifice for the token, guys. You don't have to. The tech's going to be there, and 99% of you probably going to use it. So just kind of keep that in mind. But I get where you're coming from. I do.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those things that we're not going to be able to stop it. It's going to happen. People are going to get wrecked. People are going to get, people are going to make some money. So just remember there's sharks out there, guys, trying to get a bite.
Yeah, absolutely. A
Uh,
lot of that.
there goes Johnny. It's okay. Surrender that big payday bonus. See those old stakes EES and right? EES, EES.
It's
and and
coming.
and again, it'll sell pressure comes, it'll probably it'll make hex more rare if people do EES, do stuff like that, or see a lot of it get burnt and sent to the OA address and lose their bonuses, their big payday bonuses, and people are going to do it. It's going to happen. So
Can
it
I,
may,
RG3, with your permission, can I show one more piece of tech on Pulse Chain that I came out with?
yeah, sure.
No token or anything. So it's switch.win, folks. And switch.win is a ground up build aggregator. It's got the fastest transaction speeds on Pulse Chain. That includes PulseX and the others. So if you don't have to wait, 30 seconds in some other places, not PulseX, but others, check out switch.win. If you do hold any sort of tax token, we built in a feature that allows you to put in that tax token contract, and our system automatically detects and tells you at the bottom that it's a tax token with the amount of tax, buy and sell. And then it will auto adjust your slippage to make sure the transaction goes through. So you don't have to adjust that anymore.
Very
And if
nice.
you go to trade for something else, it will go back to 0.5%.
Nice.
One of the things that I was trying to solve with marketing is Switch.win is also on a Ethereum and Base. So, and we've got a lot of volume from both of those places. So when people go to connect their wallet, they see Base and Ethereum, but then they also see Pulse Chain as well, which is pretty neat. And when they click Pulse Chain, you have a drop down of all the RH tickers that's right there, nice, neat, and clean, preloaded, and you can go from there. We're also going to be working with Internet Money Wallet pretty soon to kind of integrate into Switch as well. And we also have some cool limit orders coming. We're going to do it a lot different than most people might be used to. No, you're probably used to Matcha.xyz, Captain.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep. Matcha.
Yeah. So I would encourage people, guys, there's no fees right now. I'm going to keep them off for a while. I encourage feedback. If you guys like the product, drop me a line. If you don't, or if you find a problem, just hit me up. I do need your help with that, guys.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
It is fully audited as well.
Nice. And what does that mean anymore?
Well, I mean, it's a good point, right? What does that mean? But let me tell you, audits are not cheap, guys. They're not cheap. If you
Not
want to get a good one.
to
And
be honest, as I went through that process and watched it through the project I was involved with, I just was like, why did we get the audit? Why did we pay the money for the audit?
yeah.
But for some reason it makes people feel good.
I would imagine RH got
I mean, it's some
plenty
layer.
of audits, but the problem with audits too is it's like you can really get granular with the code, and a bad actor can go in and say, well, they caught this, but they didn't catch this, so let's go from there. So you got to be careful with it, but it's more just to make sure that you didn't overlook something. You need a couple people to take a look and make sure you're good to go.
Yeah, somebody asked a question and says, but RH doesn't have a wallet. With the ZK P2P rather than two Chrome extensions, if possible. I think you're just going to connect your wallet to, I would imagine you would connect your wallet to it, right? And that would,
Pretty sure he said that it's downloadable software that you can run
you
on
run
your local machine.
on your local machine. Again, once again, reducing, layers of security risk.
Yeah, he said there's an extension as well. So I don't really know what that looks like. It's not completely clear yet.
Yeah. I read through it with my ADHD addled brain, and it's just, it was too much for me.
Yeah, take it line by line, man. That's the only way you can do it. Line by line.
That's yeah. But when you're one of those people that goes like 10 lines down before you read the line that you just read.
Yeah. You're like, oh shit, I have no idea what I just read for the past 10 minutes.
It's a horrible curse, man. It's a horrible curse. I've never been able to focus too well on stuff like that. But sometimes I do sit down and I go line for line. And Chat GPT has been helping me with that. It's been helping me, because I'll ask a question, and I guess the dopamine hit of getting a direct answer versus somebody trying to feed me something is what maybe makes me focus more.
Yeah.
And I go, ask another question here. How about this? Oh, there we go. And then I start reading. So yeah, Chat GPT has definitely helped my
dude. Chat GPT is like, oh, you log on and it's like, I'm out. I'm gone. Peace out. You've been abusing that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I have. All right, my man. Well, any final words before we cut it off for the evening?
Guys, just keep working. Take care of yourself. Take care of your families. Be smart about this stuff, guys. Don't stretch yourself out too thin, and just be here for the ride. Just be present, and contribute how you feel is the best way to do that. Just don't let this stuff eat you up. It's a long game. That's the biggest thing I want to impress upon people.
Yeah, it's the long game, guys. Let's get the story about DeFi out there and this new product as it rolls out. I can't wait to hear all of you Galaxy brains dissecting it and putting out the information and dumbing it down, because Richard can throw some alpha out there, and I've always had a hard time interpreting everything that he's said. But on the other hand, what Brandon said earlier, going to hexsearch.io, for those of you jonesing about Richard streaming, and there are so many old streams in there where he explains all this stuff. It's all there. He there's not anything really new he's going to say. It's all there. And you can go in and type in anything you want into that hexsearch.io and listen to him talk about any subject in this ecosystem that you want. It's all there. And then it might help some of you out.
Yeah, and you can use Chat GPT, guys, too. Like, I'll tell you this. I've gone through hexsearch.io extensively. And I've always kind of back-checked and fact-checked what he said, and it always checks out. So you need to go through that process too. It's like, have a notepad open. If you're on a stream like this, listening to me and RG, and you hear like the word ZK proof, like 99% of you don't understand what that is. So go look it up. All right. That's part of the knowledge process and learning. So keep a running tab and just look things up and understand what's being talked about here. Nice.
All right, my bros. Thanks, Brandon, for coming. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, man.
You're the best of us. And look forward to chatting with you more about all this as it rolls out. All right, everybody. Have a good one. We'll catch you on the next one. Maybe next Thursday I'll be on Burn It All, and we'll light up a cigar and talk to everybody. Catch you guys later.